Independent School District. It's great to see everyone and so many people here tonight, so thank you for being here. Please let the record show that there is a quorum present. Jesse Hernandez present. Mrs. Olivares?
Present.
Mrs. Morales Garcia?
Present.
Mrs. Salazar?
Here.
Mrs. Silva?
Here.
Ms. Unger Robles?
Here.
The time is now 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 27th, 2025. As President, I, Jesse Hernandez, call this regular meeting of the Southside Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. At this time, I would like to invite Mrs. Morales Garcia to welcome our visitors and guests.
I'd like to welcome everybody, parents, distinguished guests, staff, and students. I know we have spring break coming up in 2 weeks, so I want to wish everybody a fun and safe spring break, and just take a moment to take advantage of some of the free opportunities we have around San Antonio. I know we have a lot of educational museums that are free to the public, and then you can always find a list of those on like Do 210 or Things to Do San Antonio, and just have fun with your kiddos. So again, thank you for coming to our board meeting, and I know we have a packed agenda tonight, so thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Morales Garcia. Please note that this meeting is being held and has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. If during the course of this meeting, the board should determine that a closed or executive meeting or session of the local board is required, then such closed or executive meeting or session can be held as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551. At this time, if we can please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Mark time, march. Forward, march.
Thank you. Moving on, tonight we do not have any speakers that have signed up for public comment, so we'll move on to item number 4, which is our consent agenda. We have items A through K. Is there any discussion, or do I have a motion for approval of a consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda A through K.
Thank you. Mrs. Salazar makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Olivares seconds. Ms. Olivares?
Yes.
Ms. Morales Garcia?
Yes.
Mrs. Salazar?
Yes.
Mrs. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Unger Robles?
Yes.
I, Jesse Hernandez, yes, motion carries. Moving on to Section 5, presentations and information. We'll start with our first presentation, which is our Campus Student VIP Award winners. Superintendent?
Good evening, Board of Trustees, staff, students, and community. To present our VIP students who have exhibited good conduct, attendance, and grades, we have Ms. Rincon and Ms. Gallego.
Good evening, Ms. Rincon.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be here to present the next class of our Cardinal VIPs for this month. We're very excited. These Cardinal VIPs and this program is a collaboration of the Communications Department and our Student Services Departments. This is a way for us to recognize our students who are have been recognized by campus leadership teams. These students are selected based on their behavioral, attendance, academic performance, and overall spirit of being a Cardinal. And without further ado, we'd like to introduce to you this month's Cardinal VIPs. Ms. Gallego?
Welcome, Ms. Gallego. Hello, welcome.
Good evening. This month's Cardinal VIPs. So from Menchaca, we have Kinsley Vincent. For Freedom, we have Aaron Hudson. For Gallardo, we have Ramael Castañeda Gudino. For Heritage, we have Mariano Barrios. we have Hazel King. For La Soya, Leah Gonzalez. For Matthew, Ryder Reinbold. And for the high school, Melanie Avila.
Everyone look at me, please. Okay, big smiles on three. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Very good. Excellent. Parents? All right, big round of applause for our
Great job, congratulations.
Congratulations, Mariano!
Right. Moving on to our next presentation, Academic Decathlon Team Superintendent.
Mr. Board President, the high school academic decathlon team competed at the Region 11 meet, and our students had a great showing. To recognize the students who placed, we have their sponsor, Mr. Richard Casillas.
Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Richard Casillas. I'm the academic decathlon sponsor, and these are 3 of my members. Most of them have been with me for about 3 years now, and I look at them as trailblazers. They've really blazed a trail that future Cardinals will be able to follow, and they're 2 of these. They're graduating this year: Edgar Garcia, Alexa Falcon, and we have a new member here. She was extraordinary. She got 8 medals. Wow. Yeah, so definitely she's going to be our definitely they made us proud. They made me proud, and it's been a wonderful journey.
Great job, congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, moving on to presentation, Southside High School Cheerleaders Performance at the NCAA High School National Championship. Superintendent?
So, Board President, the high school cheerleading squad participated and placed at nationals. To recognize the cheerleading squad, we have Ms. Jennifer Gonzalez.
Welcome, Ms. Gonzalez.
Hello. Okay, hi. Hello, good evening. So again, my name is Coach Jennifer Gonzalez, and this is part of my competition team that had committed after football season to compete and represent Southside High School at some local competitions and also at the National Cheerleader Association High School National Championship that's held every year in Dallas. We had 11 participants on our competition team. I have my captain, Amaret Aguilar, Stephanie Mueller, Aiden, Isabella, Michaela, Braylon, Gabriella, Annalie, Kayla, Neve, and Braylon. Our first competition that we did that Southside High School has not competed in about 4 to 5 years was in San Marcos, in San Marcos, and it was the Open State Championship for the Texas Cheerleader magazine out of the company of Fun Cheer. And we did place first in our division category, which is a novice varsity performance team. When we attended the NCAA High School National Championship, we competed against 11 schools from Louisiana, up north of Texas, and a couple other states that came in to Dallas. They learned a routine of 2 minutes and 30 seconds within 6 practices before the Thanksgiving break. And let's see, and just building a competitive program here at Southside to make our mark on the competitive cheerleading map is our goal here. So this is your Cardinal cheer that competed this season, and we are looking forward to having a bigger team of an outcome for next season as well. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, moving on to our next presentation, the junior ROTC students are being recognized for their competitive success. Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, our JROTC competed at Brennan High School, a JROTC competition, and took second place in academics and fitness. To recognize our JROTC students, we have Sergeant Erik Piña.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening. So this is just a small it's a fraction of our ROTC teams. We have a relatively flexible and young program, trying out many different things. This right here is academics. That's one of them. We've only been doing it a couple years, competing very well, both locally and nationally. And you can see a few of them here right in the middle. You also have the fitness teams. Majority of these people that are a part of the ROTC program, they've only been around maybe 1 year, maybe 2, and they're already excelling in many ways, and fitness is one of them. That's a part of what we do every week. And then lastly, probably the most popular of many programs is the drill competitions. It's the most colorful, the most professional part of our program. It's something that we're very proud of, and obviously the board gives us an opportunity every month to show off our skills. I didn't say my name is Captain Erik Piña, and my other instructor is Master Sergeant Tony Araujo, and we're very proud of our cadets. We're sitting a little bit over 100 cadets right now, and yeah, let your children know in the community that we're all about growing and continuing to serve our community in many ways. Thank you. Oh, we're gonna take a picture. Take a picture. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Great job, congratulations. Okay, moving on to our next item, Campus Teachers of the Year and announcement of the Southside ISD Teacher of the Year. Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, how exciting. We're going to recognize our Campus Teachers of the Year and announce the District Teacher of the Year. And with the presentation, we have Ms. Flores.
Good evening, Ms. Flores, welcome.
Good evening, President Hernandez, members of the board, Mr. Ramirez, Southside staff, and community. Tonight, I'm proud to present the 24-25 Teachers of the Year for Southside ISD. This spectacular group of educators has an unbelievable total of 97 years of classroom experience. So we can truly say they have a passion for what they do and truly love our students. I would like to recognize and thank our selection committee. On our committee, we had Ms. Cindy Wineland, Coordinator of Assessment and Evaluation. We had Mr. Cliff Herring, Director of Technology. We had Ms. Alejandra Gallego, Coordinator of Student Services and Behavior Management. We also had Mr. Cameron Tufino, last year's Teacher of the Year, representing Lozoya Middle School, and Ms. Sylvia Rincon, Director of Communications. And now, our honorees. For Menchaca Early Childhood Center, we have Ms. Victoria Solano. From Freedom Elementary, we have Ms. Monica Cruz Arellano, 4th grade teacher. From Gallardo Elementary, we have 5th grade teacher, Ms. Priscilla Ortegon. From Heritage Elementary, we have 4th grade teacher, Ms. Christina Traeger. From Pierce Elementary, we have 1st grade teacher, Ms. Leslie Benavides. From Lozoya Middle School, we have Ms. Andrea Arcate. From Matthew Middle School, we have Mr. Paul Corona. From the high school, we have Early Childhood English 1 teacher, Mr. Roberto Rodriguez. All nominees will receive a cash prize in June of '25. The Southside ISD District Teacher of the Year will go on to represent the district at Trinity University as a nominee for the prestigious Trinity Prize for Excellence in Teaching Award, and our runner-up will represent the district as a recipient of the KENS 5 Excel Award. Our top 2 finalists in no particular order is Ms. Monica Cruz Arellano and Ms. Priscilla Ortegon. And now, the 24-25 District Teacher of the Year and winner of a $3,000 cash prize is Ms. Priscilla Ortegon.
Congratulations. Now we get off the board. Yes, please. On this, could we all come around and take a couple different versions? Great job, Priscilla. We're family here. We're going to do a quick teacher cheer group shot. All right. And family, please feel free. Okay, everyone, big smiles here on 3. Ready? And congratulations. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Cardinals. Amazing. Okay, good job. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much. Well, wait. Our 2 finalists and then our teacher here. We want some of the other organizations out to be specific. This is something you take out. There you go. And then you can come a little. Okay, okay. Big smiles, everybody, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Excellent, great job. And now the teacher. Thank you. Congratulations.
person.
If you want to hold like that. I got it.
Yes, ma'am. $500. And the runner-up, I think she's gonna get $1,500.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next item, presentation on attendance awards. Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, to present this past month's attendance campus winners, we have our PEAMS Director, Ms. Corina Sanchez.
Welcome, Ms. Sanchez.
Good evening, Board President, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Ramirez, and Southside community. This evening, we're recognizing our fourth 6 weeks attendance winners. And first, we have, for the first time this year, we have Heritage Elementary School. Congratulations, Principal Puente and staff. And for our secondary, we have Matthew Middle School. Congratulations, Mr. Martell, on your fourth 6 weeks win. I don't know why I always do that. Come on. This physical project. Oh, my sister. Oh, sure.
Congratulations. To student achievement and progress, Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, to give an update on the second 9-week assessment scores, we have Dr. Spoor.
Good evening, Dr. Spoor.
Good evening, Board President, board members, Superintendent Ramirez, staff, and community. Today, we are going to bring you quite a bit of data, some information regarding our students' performance at mid-year, and a comparison of those mid-year scores to last year's STAR scores. So a bit of an explanation of what the slides you will see are. You will see on the left-hand side of every slide, with a black background, it says without duplication. So what you'll notice is all of these numbers will add up to 100%. These show each student counted one time, which is regular math, right? That makes sense. And on the right-hand side is how the state uses those same students for accountability, which means they count more than once. So the only two numbers on the right in red that add up to 100% are the first two. Other than that, the students, if they pass, they can count up to 3 times. So the math won't come out the same, but that is when we talk about student passing rates. We use the state numbers when we talk about accountability. So they're both here for transparency's sake, and we can explain, and I'll speak off of both slides each time we go. So the biggest one includes every student who tested. The bottom slides include our 2 biggest subpopulations that we track all of the time, and those are students served with special education and students who are identified as emergent bilingual. And so our goal always is to close those achievement gaps so that our students are all achieving at high and that we do not have those big gaps between those subpopulations. So we will go in order from 3rd grade all the way through high school EOCs, and I'll also let you know a little bit about the tests as we go along. So talking about elementary reading, and again, we'll see 3rd grade reading, 4th grade reading, and 5th grade reading. They were all assessed using the 2023 STAR released test. So what we're seeing is kind of an apples to apples. This was a released STAR in red compared to the blue, which was the last year's STAR 2024 test. The nice thing about this is it tells us where we need to really concentrate now that we have completed the curriculum and we're preparing the students with more practice and preparation for the exams. We noted that we do have some areas to address. One of them is to continue to refine our extended constructed response skills, and that's writing. That's the longer writing piece that the students do. Again, these are tests that take all day, but they do have to do some significant writing. They do short responses, but they also have to do a longer response. We're also working on revising and editing, which is a lot of grammar, use of vocabulary, corrections that they make to passages. We're also looking to increase the meets and masters. So when we say approaches, that's considered passing by the state, but it's passing with students needing some supports. Meets is fully at grade level, and masters is the equivalent of making an A. So we're working on increasing those numbers as well. Other concerns continue to be our third grade, especially our special education students in third grade, and our fifth grade emergent bilinguals. We did see a growth when we talk about our cohort from third to fourth grade, and some celebrations are that we in fourth and fifth grade are really close to last year's STAR scores. We saw some major gains in fourth and fifth grade special ed students, and there was an improvement in third and fourth grade for our emergent bilinguals. What we will also note that at third grade, they still have a lot of learning to do from mid-year to the time they take the test. And last year, we saw a 10-point increase from mid-year to end of year. So if we see that again, we will see us increasing our scores over last year. So as we look at how did our third graders do in reading, that's where you can see we're concerned a bit about our third grade special ed students. Those kids are going to need some more supports, but again, they also show the biggest growth because of the amount of learning still to do in third grade. And now here is third grade math. The math, again, we use the 2023 STAR as our base, and we pull out items that were not tested yet, or that not covered in the curriculum yet, because this was mid-year. We are also working on increasing our master's level, and again, third grade will always continue to be a bit of a focus because there is still so much content that we cover with those students. We are excited to see that our grade levels performed significantly above last year's STAR, and our special education students improved at all grade levels. We are celebrating that we have met some of our internal goals, and so we're upping what our goals are for our students at this point. You'll see when we hit the fifth grade slide that our special education students had a 28% increase at the master's level, so that's at the A level performance. And we also had a 12% improvement here at third grade for our emergent bilingual students. So you can see that third slide, that's one at the bottom, how much higher that red is than the blue. So quite a bit of improvement at that. Here you can see fourth grade where we see those numbers in red going above the blue, which is what we want to see. They are improved this year at mid-year over last year at the end of year performance. And you can see math continues to be a bright spot, just as it was on STAR, but now you can see that it's exciting to see performance levels at this time being at 84% for all students are passing or better. So that's very exciting for us, and to see the growth at the meets and the master. So it's not just passing the test, but it's getting students towards being at B and A level work on grade level. Really excited to see that our special education students, you can see those numbers in red at the bottom there, how much those have gone up, and same thing with our emergent bilingual students. And then in fifth grade, you can see also the numbers are up in red compared to the blue, except in the emergent bilingual. So that's one where we know that we need to work on ensuring that those students are also improving. In fifth grade math, another bright spot, you can see that we're already at 86% of our students are passing the test at this point, and 64% of all of our students are either at grade or at a B or higher, but a full quarter of the students are already scoring at an A level on the state test. So that's very exciting to see. And again, you can see quite a bit of improvement with our students served with special education. Those numbers went way up, especially at that at grade level without extended supports. In fifth grade, we also take the science test, and this year science is a little bit different because they have new standards, they have new curriculum, they all have a new test come this spring. So we use the 23 STAR as our baseline and added additional questions to cover the new content. Again, we are working to improve our meets and masters. That is always our goal. And we've noted that if every student can improve by 2 questions, we're going to exceed the internal goals that we had for ourselves. We're celebrating that you can see the red is higher than the blue. especially at our meets level. That was very exciting. And you can see also our subpopulations have done much better, especially our special education and emergent bilingual. They improved at all levels, the approaches, meets, and master's levels. Any questions on elementary?
Any questions for Dr. Spoor?
Okay, and I am pitch hitting for my counterpart, so I'll be talking about the secondary scores as well this evening. Just as with the elementary, we use the 23 star as our baseline for our exams. And with sixth grade reading, you can see that, again, we're working to refine those extended constructed response. That has been the struggle for our students. We're working on increasing meets and masters. And our other big concern as we move forward is to continue with working on the writing. But you can see that here is one of our celebrations in sixth grade that we have, again, our special education students showed some improvement, and so did our emergent bilinguals. When we get to math, they were assessed using a combination of 22 and 23 star tests, only covering what was taught so far. We are going to see most students increase in performance, especially moving from 7th grade into Algebra 1, their 8th grade year. But you can see here, 6th grade math. Again, there's a bit of a dip in the overall passing rate, but we saw a little bit of a growth in the overall meets rate. 7th grade reading, we saw a bit of improvement, but again, continuing to work on the extended constructed response, but this was comparing a full year of last year's to mid-year this year. So that gives us a good indication of that we're well on track to perform a little bit better than we did last year. And again, you can see 7th grade math, we do quite a bit of improvement there, especially you can see in our special education numbers, those went up quite a bit. Very excited for them. And in 8th grade reading, you can see that it's about the same as where we were. We have a bit of a drop in the master's level, but again, we've still got half a semester, half a year to go before we have the test. Algebra 1, quite a bit of growth when we look at a comparison between 7th grade and Algebra 1. 8th grade science holding strong there. Students here, again, were assessed using the 23 star as the baseline, covering the new standards. Those standards go in place for all science, so you will see it at 5th grade, at 8th grade, and in biology. This second 9 weeks exam was much more rigorous, and we had students really doing well compared to where we've tracked them before this semester, so very excited at how they're performing so far. And in social studies, again, we use the 23 stars, our baseline. We are working on our meets and masters at the 8th grade level. And we are also saw a growth component of those. So you can see that we do have growth going on in there. But again, to score to 56 for passing of all levels is not where we want to be, but we do see quite a bit of growth from last year's star at a 41 for all passing to a 56 of all passing. So we're on the right track. We feel that the adjustments that have been made are making a difference right now. Then when we get to the high school, here you can see English 1, end of course. And again, we're seeing some improvements based on how they did last year. So with an additional semester of work, we feel like we'll have even better scores at the end of the course. You can see the special education students and emergent bilingual students also showed some improvements. And here is U.S. history, which was one of our shining stars last year, and they scored just a point higher for overall passing rates from where they were at the end of the year last year to where we were mid-year this year, with more content to be covered and more work to be done. English 2, again, we see that we've got especially some improvements when we look at our emergent bilingual students and our special education students. Algebra 1 at the high school, we can see quite a bit of growth there in all levels of the meets and the masters especially. And then our biology. And again, this is half a year, and we expect that we'll get quite a bit more. But they're tracking where they needed to be for this time of year. Any questions on the score so far?
Any questions for Dr. Spoor? No questions. Thank you, Dr. Spoor.
I do want
Thank
to
you.
say I like this format better. It's a little easier to comprehend.
I realize there's a lot of data, so if you ever want any of the notes, just let us know, but glad that makes some sense. It is, again, it is math that everybody can understand when we take it without duplication. So it's how it looks to normal folks and then how the state is going to report it. It's the same information.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the Southside ISD summary of delinquent tax collections and results for October 2024 through December 2024. Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, to give an update on the collection of delinquent taxes, we have Ms. Lilia Gibson from Linebarger.
Good evening, Ms. Gibson.
Hello, good evening. I'm so sorry the cheer team left because I was hoping they would cheer for me when I came up. But I'm so happy to be here, and it's been a while since I've been in a meeting. It's really so far a pleasure to really feel the joy in the room. So congratulations to you all and to your staff on that for fostering that environment. You can tell that your students and your parents are very proud to be a part of the district. So congratulations. I had to say that. What you have before you is our delinquent tax collection report. It's a quarterly report because with Mr. Carrales coming in, I wanted to kind of be able to get some time to orient with him what we do and how the taxes work for us here in this district. And so really just to give you that snapshot, I'll go very briefly, and if you want some more details, I'm happy to give them. I think it's really exciting, but not everybody is into it. I get that. One of the things we wanted to let you know is that we do a series of targeted mailings, and so we're really trying to focus on, before we do some action in court to see what we can do to get those collected, just first of all with correspondence, trying to find out what's going on. Most of your taxpayers, it looks like 95% of them are paying on time. And so in our experience, when you do have what we call a rollover, come July, people who haven't paid their taxes on time, it's because something has happened. Something has happened. Somebody passed away, somebody got divorced, somebody lost their job, somebody's in jail. All sorts of things happen, and we're accustomed to talking to people about that and trying to see what their options are. Mr. Uresti, the Bexar County Tax Assessor Collector, his mission is to keep families in their homes. So that's become our mission, obviously. So we have lots of programs and lots of things we can do to talk to folks. And during just that 3-month time period, we reached out either by phone call or letter to 1,101 delinquent accounts representing $2.6 million that was owed. Your entire delinquent portfolio balance is about $3.4 million, but about 20% of that is over 65 deferral. So those are accounts that we cannot touch right now. They are protected under the tax code until that individual either sells the property or passes away, no longer needs that deferral. And then at that point, then there's a collection time frame and a process that can happen. We also handled 260 inbound calls or inquiries representing $722,000. There are currently 219 official payment arrangements that are met through the Bexar County Tax Office, which we monitor, and that's about $389,000 that are in those payment plans. Just to let you know, we also, obviously we're a law firm, so the way we get accounts collected is through litigation and at times, if needed, foreclosure. And so if you're ever interested in that, or you have anybody who's ever interested countywide, the first Tuesday of the month are tax sale days. And so really by the time we put a property up for tax sale, it's because the owners are not interested in anymore in that property. There could be something wrong with the property, it could be very dilapidated or things like that. But anyway, we do work with folks even up to the day of to see if we can get a payment from them. We filed 32 lawsuits for $113,000 during that time period and took 11 judgments for $147,000. 8 lawsuits were dismissed. Those can be for payment or perhaps not the right parties were included in the litigation. And we had 2 properties posted up for tax sale, but they did pay before the sale, and so those were canceled. Right now, there's only, for that time frame, only 3 accounts filed bankruptcies. And then I wanted to just give you a snapshot about the collections. And I've got it in a couple of different ways. Our tax year is July to June. So because in July is when the accounts are turned over to us, but we also have it according to your fiscal year so you can see how the funds come in. And so we give you that breakdown. Collections have steadily increased. I give you a history on that just because you can see that even during the COVID years, everyone still worked really hard to get their taxes paid.
Ms. Gibson.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you could see it on your screen. Okay, let's see. No wonder they kept looking at me like, sorry, y'all. Okay, so we came over here, and here's July through August. And really what I wanted to show you was that back in that COVID year, right when it first hit, the totals collected were about 1.49. We had a little dip the following year. The 2020-2021 year, there were a lot of court orders out from Bexar County and also from the Supreme Court of Texas. We could not have tax sales. We could not send notices. We had a lot of people unemployed. We didn't know how long that was going to be for. And so there was a lot of care taken, especially in this county, not to add additional stress on top of if people were ill with COVID or things like that. So we saw a little bit of a dip, but then bounced right back. There was a program called the Homeowner Assistance Fund Program where there were ARPA monies that were sent. We assisted the Bexar County Tax Office in identifying accounts that might be eligible for that. People could apply for that grant if it turns out they were delinquent either in their property taxes or in their mortgage because of COVID to help pay those. And those are monies that do not have to be paid back. They were grant funds. So we did see a little bit of an increase to that. And I don't think we're going to get to see that money anymore. So now we get to the hard part. So this year we'll really see where we're at. But we're on target to be where we need to be. Now, if some of you identified the number that was reported from the Bexar County Tax Office, we are seeing a phenomenon. And Mr. Carrales and I will be speaking about that a little more in detail. But we are starting to see a phenomenon with some of our school districts where the delinquent collections, when the revenue gets reported to you, are showing a negative, are showing like, what happened there? And what is going on is as people protest their values with the appraisal district, when they win, either they win through a mediation or they win maybe through a court order. Sometimes that takes more than a year, right? It takes a long time. When that order comes in from the appraisal district saying this person won, when people protest their value, they have to pay their taxes. So they have to pay their taxes on time, but sometimes it may go to the next year. Let's say they win, right? And now they're issued a refund. Well, if you think about it, those taxes that got paid to the district, you got paid that a year or two. There's no way to call you and say, oh, I need that $300,000 back or that $50,000. Now we have to reimburse this property owner. So what they do is they take it from the delinquent collections. Yay. No, I'm not that happy about that, but that's the way the system calculates it because you have two coffers basically at the tax office. You have the current year coffer and then you have a prior year coffer. Even those accounts were never delinquent, they were never turned over to us to collect, the refunds are coming from that account. And so when you get a report, it's basically a net, it's a deposit, right? So it's showing that deposit. So we're gonna be working with the Bexar Tax Office to be able to give the school districts a more realistic report so that you have both numbers to look at. So I will tell you that phenomenon is happening. Bexar County let us know that they saw it. Most recently also, remember when the homestead exemption, of course y'all know this, when it got increased and how that affected, well, some people got a refund for that. Well, those refunds came from the delinquent collections. So if this next proposal goes through and the timing isn't just right, if people pay it and then turns out they get that exemption, they'll probably get reimbursed from that as well. So those are just some things that we're looking at that's very unusual. It happens every once in a while, and so it looks like we're hitting a time frame where people are, as they should, protesting their property values if they feel that they're too high. But then as they're winning those protests, they're entitled to a refund. And then I will just let you know, kind of looking at these numbers in a different way. Since 2019 to now, we're seeing a 39% increase from the tax year to then. Of course, your levy has grown as well. You've got more accounts in your levy and then more that get turned over. And then one of the things I will let you know that we do is, this is a kind of a complicated chart, but really what it does is it looks at every tax year. It looks to see what your levy was. So if we look at back in 2009, your tax levy was $7.3 million. In '23, your tax levy was $25 million. So as the district grows, we are monitoring every year when it gets turned over. So in the '23 year, when it got turned over in July, we can see 93.4% was paid. So 93.4% of your taxpayers paid on time. And so then we only have a 1.7 that we're looking at. As of now, the balance is 1.2 on that year. But we're monitoring every year. So we always want to get our numbers to 99%, 99.4. We're never going to hit 100, right? But because you have people that are on deferrals or things like that. So we're monitoring every year. We're not just looking at the first year. We're always looking at the old years. And then our work plan moving forward is what we've been doing is working with taxpayers. That is the biggest thing that we do. If you ever have an activity or an event, actually Sylvia will let me know sometimes if she's got her program going on. I'm happy to be there at it, and we can have folks there. Most of the time, nobody's coming up to me asking me about their own delinquent taxes. They're talking about the situation maybe their parents are in, right? Or maybe they're eligible for deferral. And we'll bring those forms with us so that we can talk to people about that and give them that education. So that's all. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But again, we wanted to just make sure that you were aware of what's happening right now in the tax collection world.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Gibson. Any questions?
Thank you. I hope it wasn't too boring.
I do have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to highlight, I know Gonzaga, they're starting to work with their seniors on helping get resources out to, their seniors on tax relief. So I don't know if that's an organization y'all have explored yet for partnership.
No, but thank you. We will definitely look in with them. Well, if they're reaching out to the Bexar County Tax Office, there's many times Mr. Oresti's office, and we will go present together, because that way, they can get the most information. But thank you.
And
I will
know
check into that.
The HEB Foundation too just did a housing equity presentation that was really good.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
And just a couple of questions. Can you go back 3 slides?
Sure.
For November, one more.
That one?
Next one. One more back.
One more.
Here for November, December, there's a significant drop from the prior year for that. Was something that got triggered there?
I probably have it, if you give me 1 second, let me check my other report. We usually will note there might be a large payment, but give me 1 second. I can check. In the more detailed report, Nadine gives me notes, and yes, we did.
That's why I brought coffee today. So.
That's okay. So we did have an account known as RBJ Development. That one account paid $26,000. So we show that there's one account that can basically make the number jump. And I keep track of those because we have, for example, we had one the prior year in October. In the prior year where we hit $210,000. That was another one that was a large account. I keep track of those because sometimes they're not going to happen every year, because that account could have had 5 years of taxes in it or something like that. But we did have an increased collection that isn't typical for that month, obviously, in December.
Okay, that makes sense. And lastly, I just want to comment and thank y'all for always being willing to work with us and answering a lot of questions. I know sometimes I'll ask questions, or Mr. Ramirez will ask questions, and y'all always respond and provide that for us.
You're so welcome. We like it. We consider it a privilege to do this work for you. So anything we can do to explain the process a little bit, or certainly if you feel like we have some more questions about this. Specific cases, we're happy to come in an executive session and kind of go through with that, but certainly available to be responsive, especially to your community here. Sometimes it's hard for people to get downtown, so if it's easier for us to come to them, we're happy to do that. We have laptops, so we can bring the information, so.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
I don't know how to make it go away, so I'll take care. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to our last item on this area is the review of the financial statements for January 2025. Superintendent?
Board President, to give an update on the finances for January, we have Mr. Carrales.
Good evening, Mr. Carrales, welcome.
Good evening, President Hernandez, Superintendent Ramirez, and members of the board. I will go quick since you have two finance presentations back to back. Also though I want to mention a big thank you to everything Linebarger does for us. Sadly, without them, there's no enforcement for people to actually pay their taxes. So, I mean, they're not part of the school district, but as a partner, without them, there would be no reason for anybody to pay or send money to us. Starting out with the general fund, we had several months where we were averaging approximately $6 million. You can see a $30 million there in 5 months. So we had averaged $6 million. We talked about we had been spending quite a bit, but that was on purpose to get the year started. In January, we spent $5.2 million. So that's a much better number on total amount of expenditures for the month, and that's what we want to continue seeing through the rest of the months. If we continue to see the $5.2 million every single month from here on out, then we're going to fall within our budget and what we expect to what we budgeted. Things were getting a little scary, and January did come through for us, and we're hoping to see that the rest of the year. Moving on to food service, what I'll mention here is you can see the fiscal year to date activity that they on the revenue side, they have $3.7 million of revenue and $3.9 million in expenditures. So they've spent more than they've actually brought in. Once again, that is on purpose. Looking at the budget, they budgeted $8.6 million on revenue, and their total expenditure budget is $9.6 million. So that's on purpose. So they actually have $1 million more budget on the expenditure side than revenue to spend that fund balance down. Moving on to debt service. Let's see here. Final report, debt service here. We always mention this, that we only have payments twice a year on this account, February and in August. So there's small fees of $350. We're seeing a lot of tax collections come in, as we mentioned before. You see those in December, and January is when we see the tax collections come in. So right now you can see we're buying $4.4 million, and we've only paid out $350. February will be our payment. I'll also mention that we've reached out to Hilltop to talk to them about taking action on the resolutions the board adopted to pay off some of that debt, because we'll have a large fund balance, so we'll be able to pay some of that stuff off, and we'll be bringing that to you as that starts to happen. So that's all I have for the finance reports.
Any questions for Mr. Carrales? No questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. Our first item, discuss and consider approval of the 2025-2026 academic calendar. Superintendent?
Sir, Board President, the District Calendar Committee developed 3 calendars that were reviewed by the District Education Improvement Committee and put out for a vote for our staff and community to consider. We have Dr. Spoor with the presentation.
Welcome again, Dr. Spoor.
Good evening again, Board. We were really excited to come together this year and put 3 different calendars out. We had a really robust committee with representation from all of our campuses, from the different departments. It was a great collaboration this year. We even had transportation came in, and they were able to help us out with finding some extra minutes, which gave us some flexibility here. So we had 3 calendars, and they're all fairly similar. We do have, so for example, Calendar A had a total of 173 days. You can see that the black is student-teacher holidays. The blue is the work days, so those are student holidays. And you can see that all of the calendars, we're going to have the students be done by Memorial Day. So that was a big thing that we wanted to do. We also finished our first semester in all 3 calendars in December. So there's Calendar A and Calendar B and then Calendar C. When we put those out to a vote, it was nice to see that we had parents and staff agree. So of our staff, 59.6 said Calendar C, and our parents, 45.7 said Calendar C as well. So both parents and staff, majority vote was for Calendar C. The one caveat that we would bring you at this time is President's Day. So we try to align our calendars as much as we can with neighboring districts, but we all tend to come out with them a little bit different. So when we came out with our calendar last year, as in Every year since I've been here, we had President's Day was a regular school day for us. Neighboring districts took President's Day off. So a lot of our kids stayed home, and some of our teachers stayed home because their kids were home. So we are asking that you consider adding in that we would like to take now President's Day and make that a student holiday and a staff work day. We know that we have a lot of things that we can do as a staff, and we would appreciate that day, and it would, I think, help out our attendance rate as well, and keep in line with what we've seen other districts as well. So that came to light after we had put the calendars together and come up with them and sent them out for a vote. So that would be the only caveat consideration we would ask for you to do. But these were presented, had a lot of great input this year, and again, any questions that I can answer about any of the calendars?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Spoor. Any questions for Ms. Salazar first?
I just have a question in reference to, I'm guessing we do meet the days and the minutes that are required by the state, correct?
Absolutely.
With doing this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So this year, we were 3 days over what we needed, 3 full days, and then some over what we needed. So when we took that one bad weather day, we don't have to make it up. With these calendars, we have even more time, because what we have to do is we have to take the minutes from our campus with the lowest number of minutes, which was Menchaca. And transportation helped us find some extra minutes from Menchaca, some efficiencies with our bus routes. And so now we've got extra days as well. So none of these days would have to be, oh, that's no longer a holiday, we're going to use it as a bad weather makeup. All of the minutes are in there in excess of the 75,600 minutes the state requires.
Ms. Olivares?
Sorry, I was just curious about the parent response. I did have some parents that reached out that were happy that they were able to participate and give their input on that. So I was just curious, do you have a number on the parents?
We do. For the parents, we only had 898 answers, 898 folks participate. And we've put it out to the parents, I think, for the last 3 years at least, or more, putting it out. I will tell you that even if they didn't vote, a lot of them sent in notes, or they let the folks on campuses know, hey, what about, we did have some questions about, could we ever do a 4-day work week? We hear the 4-day school week, and we're like, well, that's not really something that we're looking at right now for a host of reasons, but we were glad that they did give us their feedback and that it aligned with the teachers as well.
I have a question. Can
Yes,
we go back
ma'am.
to the calendar, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
C. Cool. I guess that all of the start times are kind of the same. My concern would be the Menchaca. I know right now that there's always a line at Menchaca, and sometimes the drop-off, I guess the cutoff time, there's still a line after 7:10. And I know sometimes I'm on the phone with a family member or a friend that's driving by Menchaca, and they'll tell me, hey, there's still a line, it's the cutoff time, like, kids are gonna be late. And then just imagining having to drop off a little one and then rush to an elementary within those 20 minutes, not speeding to drop off another kiddo and stand in another line. So that's my concern, is just making sure that we're accommodating those parents that have kiddos at both campuses.
So one of the things that we made sure that we didn't do is we didn't change any elementary times this year. Those are staying. And the other thing we kept was the Menchaca start time. One of the things that does have to drive us is transportation. And because, for example, Harlandale is 12 square miles, and it's very easy to have 10 minutes in between times. For us, in working with Mr. Nafee, our high school and middle school now are going to start at the same time and end at the same time. And we've got now enough time at the end of the day to be able to do those well, and the same thing at the beginning of the day. So if we are going to try to mess with any of those times, I can't do one. It's kind of 3 pieces together, and they're all going to have to tilt. So if we say, let's not start Menchaca so early, that means now we're starting the high school so late, and then they're going to not get out of school until so late. So it's one of those things where I wish that we could make it a lot tighter, and, you know, if we had a fleet of 1 million buses and 1 million drivers, we could tighten that up some, but we will always work with parents if there's a concern, if there's something that we can do to help make their lives easier on that drop-off pickup. You know, we work really hard to make sure that we're out there, we're opening doors for folks, so when they drive up, they don't have to get out of their car for the little ones. Same thing at the elementary schools. But we do appreciate the feedback, and we understand that it is, you know, at least we don't have the lines out like we used to. We've accommodated a little bit of that. I know that Ms. Matas and her team have really done a great job of working to get that a little more efficient for parents.
Okay, and then I had another question on staff work days, and then I guess in reference to like staff work days, professional development days, just making sure, and I know you mentioned President's Day would be a staff work day compared to a professional development day.
So back in the day, the state used to require us to differentiate between a work day, which was unencumbered. Teachers get free time to work in their classroom, work on their lessons, and a staff development day. That's no longer the case and hasn't been for several years now. Anytime it's considered, we call it a student holiday, staff development, we build in some time, and we're going to, now that we've got a calendar, we can start building in. So this is the day that we're going to have convocation. This is the day that the campus has. This is the day that math teachers are going to be working together. And here's the time they get to work in their classrooms. And here's the time that they get to, you know, do whatever they need to do with their teams to get ready. So we're going to try to carve out some time for them to have that on a daily basis. They get every 10 days, 450 minutes unencumbered that we don't touch. We build in extra time for meetings, extra time for team planning during that. So we do try to carve out as much time as we can, you know, especially at the beginning of the year when they want to get their classrooms ready and be ready for open house to meet the parents. And then in the middle of the year, we try to build in some extra time when they've had the big test and they've got to grade the test and prepare for that.
Okay.
Yes,
Just making
ma'am.
sure we have that time allotted to them. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Mares has made arrangements where they can do an early drop-off. I think it's at 6:15? 6:30. So for the parents who run into that issue, they can do the early drop-off and then head to another campus if they need to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions for Dr. Spoor? Thank you, Dr. Spoor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, do I have a motion for approval of a calendar option?
I'll make a motion to approve calendar C and add February 16th, 2026 as a student holiday / staff development day.
Thank you. Mrs. Salazar makes the motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mrs. Morales Garcia seconds. Mrs. Olivares?
Yes.
Mrs. Morales Garcia?
Yes.
Mrs. Salazar?
Yes.
Mrs. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Sangre Robles?
Yes.
And Justice Hernandez, yes. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item number 2, discuss and consider approval of executing an agreement with Reliance Air and Refrigeration for the purchase of commercial kitchen, reaching coolers, warmers at various district campuses in the amount of $188,308.00. Superintendent?
Sir, Board President, the district needs to replace warmers, coolers at Aces, Heritage, and Lozoya. With the presentation, we have Mr. Garza and Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Good
welcome.
evening, Board President Mr. Hernandez, Superintendent Mr. Ramirez, board members, and members of the community and staff. The Purchasing Department is requesting approval of executing an agreement with Reliance Air and Refrigeration for the purchase of commercial reach-in coolers and warmers at ACES, Heritage Elementary School, and Lozoya Middle School in the amount of $188,308 as requested by the Child Nutrition Department. This is resulting from a request for proposal that was advertised. We did receive 4 proposals, and they were individually scored by an evaluation team, resulting in a Reliance Air as the highest proposal ranked. The existing equipment is approximately 22 years old, and I have the Director of Child Nutrition, Mrs. Ramirez, available for any further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Are there any questions for Mr. Garza or Mrs. Ramirez? Get off easy today, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, do I have a motion for item number 2?
I make a motion to approve the execution of an agreement with Reliance Air and Refrigeration in the amount of $188,308.
Thank you, Mrs. Liceo Salazar makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Mrs. Olivares seconds. Mrs. Olivares?
Yes.
Mrs. Morales Garcia?
Yes.
Mrs. Salazar?
Yes.
Mrs. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Rangel Robles?
Yes.
I just Hernandez, yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item number 3, discuss and consider approval of a budget amendment number 1 and budget amendment number 2. Superintendent?
Sir, Board President, we have 2 budget amendment proposals for the board to consider to cover the expense of the approved one-time incentive pay for staff and for the replacement of the high school track. We have Mr. Carrales, Mr. Garza, and Coach Locke with the presentation.
Welcome again, Mr. Carrales. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening again. I think it could be said that these amendments are triggered from the $3.2 million we added a fund balance at the end of last year. We were able to save a little bit of money last year, and these are considered one-time expenditures. I broke them out from 1 and 2, so we wouldn't have to be doing the math in our head in a meeting right now. But the budget amendment number 1 was for the one-time pay that the board approved for employees, $300 each. And then, of course, amendment number 2 is an estimate right now. But we're not spending any money. We're just trying to put some money in the budget, so when the time comes, we can actually issue a purchase order or not be held up by needing to come back to the board after the items have been approved. So we're trying to we picked a number from the middle of what we were looking at pricing with the bids that were coming in. And so we picked a number and a contingency. We separated them for the board to see that this is what we want to estimate for the track cost right now. Once again, just to get ahead of, so once we do get it approved, we can process with appeal and not have to come back and keep delaying things. So that's the reason for budget amendment number 1 and budget amendment number 2.
And the dollar amounts?
$263,221 for amendment number 1. And amendment number 2, if you had 2 numbers, you get $303,069 for a combination of, for the track and the contingency for the track.
So both amendments are for track?
No. Well, yes, on that one, yes. One's for the base price of the track, and one is for, we set aside for a contingency.
Not following.
So the first amount is for the one-time incentive pay that we gave staff that the board had approved. And the second one is for the track, but it's separated into 2. We have a contingency expense there that we could make. Maybe we would not have that expense, but just in case, when they pull that track, if there's issues with the concrete, if there's requirement to add concrete, because of that additional money is set aside. But it could be that everything's fine underneath that track and that would not be spent. So for the track, it would be $242,455.
So 61,000 is contingency?
Yes, 25%, if I'm not mistaken.
And the track is end of life already?
The current track? Oh, yes, sir. That's the reason for you can see the cement on the bottom. The track is completely.
20 years.
20?
It's an 8-lane track, and right now there's 3 lanes we can't even practice on because it's torn up. So we canceled all of our track meets this year here for safety reasons.
Ms. Salazar?
So,
You have a question?
So has any work started on that as of yet? Have we gone out for bid?
We're in an active RFP process right now. It's still under evaluation and clarifications. We haven't even identified the highest ranked proposal.
Okay.
Right now, it's just to secure and allocate funding for the project. So therefore, once we finalize the scoring and negotiate, work with our attorneys to draft an AIA agreement so we can bring back for the board to review.
But what we're actually doing is we're jumping the gun, and vendors are hearing this, right? So now they know how much money. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Am I correct? Am I not correct? Where am I at with this?
So no. There's 3 vendors, or 3, was it 3? 4? 4 vendors. The committee, and my understanding is that they scored it where they went with the medium price. There was one that was $470,000, another one that was $190,000. We checked other tracks at different districts that had each of the different tracks, And the one that met the needs of our school district was the $240,000 track. So what Mr. Garza is talking about is negotiating the possibility of extending the warranty. They're offering a 5-year warranty to see if we can get a 7-year warranty, if they want to come down in price. So that's what we would be doing, the negotiating with that vendor, not with the other not with the other 3 vendors.
Ms. Salazar, the information has been turned into the district already, so the vendors have already submitted their information to the district.
Okay, so that's solidified.
Yes, ma'am, yes. We're in the scoring process.
Okay.
Yes, they are. We already have the numbers from the 4
I got it, yeah.
4 vendors.
We're good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, no questions. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, do I have a motion for approval of budget amendment number 1 and budget amendment number 2?
I'll make the motion to approve budget amendment number 1 and budget amendment number 2 as presented.
Thank you. Mrs. Salazar makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ms. Silva? Or, sorry,
Go ahead.
Ms. Silva.
I
Okay.
didn't see you. Sorry.
Mrs. Silva seconds. Mrs. Fari, or, no, sorry, Ms. Olivares?
Yes.
Ms. Morales Garcia?
Yes.
Salazar?
Yes.
Mrs. Silva?
Yes.
Sangre Robles?
Yes.
Just unanimous, yes. Motion carries. If I could just ask, Mr. Carrales, for future budget amendment requests, can we separate them out and treat them as a single line items? Please, thank you. Moving on to item number 4, discuss and consider approval of the order of cancellation of the election for Board of Trustees, positions 3, 4, and 5 on May 3rd, 2025. Superintendent?
Mr. Board President, due to no opposition for positions 3, 4, and 5 of the Board of Trustees, we are requesting for the cancellation of the May 3rd board election.
Thank you. At this time, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the order of cancellation of the election for Board of Trustees, positions 3, 4, and 5 on May 3rd, 2025. I have a second.
I'll second it with congratulations to all.
Thank you, Mrs. Salazar. Ms. Olivares?
Yes.
Ms. Morales Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Salazar?
Yes.
Ms. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Sangre Robles?
Yes.
And I just unanimous, yes, motion carries. At this time, we'll go ahead and move on to closed meeting. The board would adjourn to a closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.074, and 551.129 to consider the following. Bear with me, there's a lot. Number 1, Texas Government Code 551.076 and 551.0821, discuss and consider the hiring of the principal at Gallardo Elementary as recommended by the superintendent. Item number 2, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.129, consultation with legal counsel concerning legal issues related to the First Amendment to Health Center Service Agreement to amend the terms of the existing agreement. Item number 3, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072, discussion of purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Item number 4, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.129, attorney consultation regarding legal issues related to Executive Order 14159 regarding immigration. And lastly, item number 5, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussion regarding board member duties, roles, and responsibilities. The time is now 7:15 p.m., and we are entering into closed session. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
not this time, last time.
It was from like a year or two ago.
Okay, we're live.
I have it
Welcome
set for
back,
last
everyone.
time.
Thank you very much for being here with us. At this time, do I have a motion for approval of the principal at Gallardo Elementary?
I'll make the motion to approve Claudia Rios Wright as the principal at Gallardo Elementary.
My apologies. Let me backtrack a little bit. The time is now 8:02 PM, and we are out of executive session.
It's what? 8:02.
8:02 PM. Sorry. At this time, do I have a motion for approval of the principal at Gallardo Elementary?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion to approve Ms. Claudia Rios Wright as the principal at Gallardo Elementary.
Thank you, Mrs. Salazar makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Mrs. Sangurobles, second. Mrs. Olivares?
Yes.
Mrs. Morales Garcia?
Yes.
Mrs. Salazar?
Yes.
Mrs. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Sangurobles?
Yes.
And I just unanimous yes. Congratulations to Mrs. Wright. At this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Salazar, second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. The time is now 8:03 PM, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.